Hello everybody, my name is Ricky LAVAUGHN, author of the book When Roses Cry. In this particular video blog, we're going to go over 3 different elements within the story. Actually, I should say kind of overall in the generality. They are the title, the cover, and the setting. Now, with any fictional book, that is extremely important. Of course, the title and cover is very important for any book in general, non-fiction or fiction. But the setting, the places, what's going on, where are they? That's very key. So I just want to be able to just say a little something about each one of those particular elements. The title. When Roses Cry came from a poem that I actually wrote many years ago, but it was changed for the book. So the original poem is a little bit different than the actual book, but the beat, the canter, some of the sounds of it actually comes from this one song I heard years ago from a band called Live, and it was called The Dolphins Cry. So some people thought they actually came from a Prince song, but in reality the beat of it kind of came from this other song called Dolphins Cry. It's inside the poem. There's actually explanation, and that explanation is actually in the story. The guy kind of goes over a little bit about what's going on. If you read the story, you kind of can figure it out. But yeah, that's where the title of the book actually comes from. Now, the title of the book was going to be almost a few other things. One of the other ones was the Sotros. There's another one called The We. And there's a few other titles that was out there as well. Now, as you can see, I was trying to go with titles that was describing the multiple personality disorder itself. As a matter of fact, the Sotros was supposed to be 3 different people. I think it was Noise, Sonia, and Treson or Tracing or something of that nature. And so you put it all together, there's Nosotros. And Nosotros in Spanish is we. So that's pretty much what I was going for there. But once I saw When Roses Cry, I thought, well, that's really different, really unique. And I was like, might as well just stick with that. And we're just going to have to figure out how to be able to get the proper image out there so that people don't think this is a romance novel. But yes, definitely When Roses Cry started off basically as a poem, which is actually inside the story itself. The cover was actually made to look a certain way in that it had to have, I didn't want it to be dark, gloomy, and scary, but remember, it's a psychological thriller, not a romance novel. Now, the title itself almost sounds like a romance novel. I think it's because it has roses in it. So you hear When Roses Cry, you think, oh, it must be a sappy love story. It's not. It's a psychological thriller. So the cover itself had to reflect that. Now, the original cover, which is gray, and has a vase of roses, and there's like these little eyes, this lady's eyes is right behind it. Now, that was actually a good idea between myself and the publisher at the time, where I was like, well, I need something that's going to kind of give off this feel and not a romantic feel. Gave him a little information, that's what the cover came up. Now, when the rights switched over to self, I wasn't actually sure if I could actually use that particular cover. Much as I absolutely loved it, I was like, well, actually, I didn't come up and create that. So the one I had to create is the current one that you see now. On that particular cover, it has like the eyes all over the place, and you have the rose, and so that's what you see. And a lot of that cover, what it has to deal with is the different personalities and the eyes. So you just kind of like you're getting this idea like you have the main person, but you have all these other people that's living inside. Of course, the rose itself comes from the actual title of the book, so that's where all that kind of comes from. Now, one of the covers that almost was going to be in it was this kind of black cover. Of course, it makes sense, but it was a little different in that this black rose sat on there. So the red one's a black rose, and you had like this one set of eyes. But that thing was like a red glowing eyes, and it looked way too scary. I was like, you know what? I'm not writing. This is not a horror novel. I don't want people to get that confused. And even the electronic book version, the ebook version, was actually going to have like this red background. Like the entire thing was like these giant rows, and you had like all these eyes that was all over the place. So it was all these other different views, all these other different things that was going on, and finally was like, let's just use the cover that I have right now. So the one that you see on Amazon, the one that's there, that is the current cover. That is the one that's like, okay, this is where we're going to go with this. So that was really exciting, really fun to be able to see that come to print. Really do like it. I like how it's a little different, but it's kind of something I learned from Stephen King as far as setting is sometimes whenever you start off with something new, a fictional story or whatnot, you might want to do something that you're very familiar with and then branch out from there. Some authors, they don't have to worry about that. Totally get it. For myself, I really want to be able to stay with something that I was used to. So the setting for the book, of course, resides actually in Columbus, Ohio. That's where the far majority of the story actually takes place. Is actually in Columbus. Now, I would like to say that the original setting was going to be in Los Angeles. That's a big reason why Spencer and all his characters, he was living in Los Angeles. And instead, what I had to do was just drag him over into Columbus. When you read the book, you'll totally, completely understand. But the original setting was going to be Los Angeles, but I said, no, let me use something I'm familiar with. So that's why Columbus becomes the main setting. Now, one of the other places that we also go to while we're in the stories is Chattanooga, Tennessee. Now, I know that probably sounds like it's completely out the river. It's almost like, where was that coming from? Well, that's because I have a lot of family in the Chattanooga, Atlanta area. But actually, two cities that's not even that far from each other. And so because of that, I was like, well, I've been there quite a few times. It's almost like an homage to something in my past and family and stuff like that. So that is why Chattanooga is one of those cities that was actually chosen as another setting where the characters go to. Whenever you read Stephen King, almost all his stories take place in Maine. I think there's even a few in Colorado. He used to live there as well. So it's one of those things of use something that's very, very familiar. Well, that's all for this particular video blog. But I just want to say thank you so much for listening. Please definitely pass it on. I hope you enjoyed it. Please definitely pick up a copy of When Roses Cry today. You'll see what I mean by the cover, the title, and also, of course, the setting. As always, it's available on paperback and ebook versions. And thank you for your support.